Thank you, Michael. Welcome, everyone. Going back through and recapping TCU last week, I was getting excited for our football team to come out and win another game against a ranked football team in TCU. I thought overall, the first half we really were moving along and playing pretty well. Going into halftime, 23-7. Defensively, we had given up the one series, really was two pass plays on one side of the ball. But the rest of the day really had played well. I think the rest of the half they might have only had, 50 yards or less other than those two plays, which were just beating coverage, actually. And then offensively, we had to, give TCU credit. We had to settle for some field goals instead of being able to get it in for touchdowns in the red zone. And TCU is going to do that to you. Coach Patterson, his group, do an excellent job, really both sides of the ball, but, on that side of the ball on defense. And then second half, with Baker not playing, really got out of rhythm, offensively. Had quite a few 3-and-outs, one turnover, one interception and out. And then defensively, we were doing a good job for a good part of the time. And again, a couple of not breakdowns, just got beaten coverage, in a couple of instances. And then all of a sudden, you're in a game there, fighting to win it at the end. And proud of our guys, that made plays down the stretch to win it. Stephen Parker made a great play there at the end. To save the 2-point conversion and to win the game. Guys that played well, the players of the game, Samaje Perine was our player of the game on offense. Other guys, of course, Sterling Shepard had another huge day, and Baker, before being injured. Defensively, Charles Tapper, player of the game, with Zach Sanchez and Ahmad Thomas all had great games. Tapp with the great strip and had sack and some other tackles for loss. Zach, 2 picks. Ahmad, an interception. All of them were really good. Baker's situation was monitored continually through the first half with no passing tests and not having any symptoms until at halftime. Admitting to some headache. That's when our doctors, pulled him and removed him from the game. And then, and as far as his status moving forward, he is checked out after the game, passed all whatever protocol and tests they give. Yesterday, he has passed all of those tests. He will do some physical exertion work today, maybe some team stuff. And if he continues this way with no issues like he's had yesterday and so far today, then he is expected to play. If he has a setback in any way, with the protocol and the testing that our doctors and trainers do, then he will not. But to this point, it is all checked out well. Scott Anderson will be here after this to answer any questions you might have in regard to that entire protocol. I am not a part of that, so their doctors and trainers handle all of that. That moving forward to Oklahoma State, excellent football team. Coach Gundy and his staff have done a great job. Another 10-1 team. Really, have played well throughout the year. And team, we know that, going up there to play, we've got to have a great week of practice and go up there and play play a great game on our part to give ourselves an opportunity to win. The 2 quarterbacks, Rudolph and Walsh, really do a great job complementing one another. Got some excellent receivers that they make a lot of big plays with. Defensively, very structured and disciplined in how they play. Ogba, an excellent player up front, very disruptive. And, again, they play with a lot of really great discipline defensively too. So, but anyway, it's an exciting game, of course, for us, for them, for everybody. And we're anxious to get started with practice here today.
Why was this game moved from the first week in December to now? Was that the conference, or was it you and OSU that won it that way?
Oh, I think it was more us with recruiting with recruiting challenges when everyone else is out recruiting. But but then as much as anything, we had I'm in favor of and I've said that to move it back to the December date, just to have a presence on that Saturday.
Bob, Trevor obviously didn't play well. What were the factors that led to that? You would sort of expect a guy that veteran to.
Yeah, and it isn't just, I didn't feel, of course, in Trevor, it isn't just him. I think when a quarterback plays well, you see a lot of guys around him playing well. And the same thing when it appears a quarterback is struggling, a lot of guys around him aren't helping him a whole lot. And I think it's some of each. I think some of it, Trevor and some of his reads wasn't as sharp, and understandably so. Hasn't been in that situation where it's, for 10 games, and to be out there in critical situations. In some parts could have managed it better on his part. In other parts, guys around him, could have played better. Some route running, some inside releases by a receiver on a certain play when it has to be an outside release. Put him in a situation where it does make him look bad when it's all the receiver, and his route running really contributed to it more than anything. So it's a little bit of both, and so everybody has a little bit of a hand in it.
Was there any ever discussion of maybe going to Cody Thomas? Because
Not at
Trevor
that point. He had not had enough repetition overall to do that.
Do you plan a change in practice, Bob, with him getting adequate reps to where he could possibly play?
That'll be Coach Riley's call as we go through the week.
Baker's injury, does that necessitate changing his style of play a little?
I don't know that you can. We'll talk to Baker about avoiding as many hits as he can, but he's fairly stubborn. But hopefully he'll go down when he can, get out of bounds when he can, and avoid some of that. And that one the other night should have been avoided.
I know Samaje came in and had a big touchdown run and played late, but is his ankle, he checked out okay?
Yeah, Samaje's ankle's been, a fairly light sprain, and it appeared that way yesterday as well. Same with Joe. They weren't very significant, So I'm not saying they're not bothering them a little bit, but they shouldn't inhibit them from, being at their best.
Samaje had that kind of year last year that everybody will always go down into a historical significance, but this year he doesn't have the numbers because he's sharing some time with Joe, but he's still playing at an incredibly high level, isn't he? I mean, he comes back from that injury, gets that big run. I mean, isn't he playing as well as he did last year? In some ways, a better all-around game. No
question. He's had a fantastic year. He is playing every bit as well or better than he did a year ago. His yards per carry the other night were, I think, 7.9 or 7.2, something like that. So, he's playing great. And what did he have? 180 some yards, I think, the other night's pretty strong against a really good defense.
Baylor was able to attack OSU. I think Iowa State may have done some as well. Would that be as big a
Attack them, what do you
priority?
mean?
Well, just in the run game,
Oh,
they were physical at the line of
Yeah, well,
scrimmage.
Baylor's always going to run the football. That's what we always realize that, and they do it well. But
Is that as big a key for you as anything?
it's always a key. When we've been playing at our best, the running game's been a big part of it, and so hopefully we can run the football and execute blocks and give ourselves a chance to run the ball.
Ty says that Oklahoma State is as good as anybody you've played this year as far as their defensive front. How do they compare to somebody like Baylor?
Again, very comparable. I agree with them. They're a really good team, physical up there, play with great technique, and a lot of really talented players. So they're as good as anybody we've played.
If you got to win the Big 12 conference, and again, if you win this, what do you think of your team's playoff chances?
Oh, I think they'd be great. When you play three ranked teams at the end of the year, three of them two of them in the top 10. The other, according to AP, until we beat TCU was 11. Two of them on the road. and then on the road at SEC Tennessee, you ought to be recognized for it.
What if that happens and the Big 12 gets left out for a second straight year?
Well, I don't believe that'll happen, but I'm not going to talk about what if.
Have you had a look at, I'm guessing no, but Notre Dame's resume? The wins that they have and loss that they had, that kind of thing, compared?
It wouldn't be for me to talk about Notre Dame's wins and losses. That's not, that's not for me to do. Again, when you're, the fact that you also are willing to go on the road to go to Tennessee and play, to me, matters to them as well.
Coach, it's year 17, and they go by so fast. Have you had a chance to just
You
sit
know
back?
they've gone by fast.
Well, they go by fast.
Some go by faster than others. Some
Have you had
some
a
won't
chance?
end.
Have you had a chance to just sit back and appreciate what you've done so far, or is it just business as usual?
Heck no, I hadn't done. I don't think about anything but how to go up and beat Oklahoma State. That's it. No, hopefully there'll be plenty of time down the road for that. Not now.
Well, as much as we value quarterbacks and recognize how important they are, some crazy things have happened with backup quarterbacks. Baylor gets to its third teamer Saturday night in Stillwater, and he produces. Michigan State alternates backup quarterback Saturday and wins at Ohio State. Is something happening in the game where guys can come off the bench and still function at a high level?
Yeah, I think as much as anything, what I appreciate about so many of these guys now, and only because I've just seen Baylor's not long ago, and that there's a lot of guys, or there's a lot of quality quarterbacks, and guys that can throw the football, and and there's a lot of talent out there, in different places, and and then what they're asking them to do, can be some systems are a little more quarterback friendly than others, that they're able to go in there and do, and take care of, what they're asking them to do.
Bob, are you surprised how effective Oklahoma State's been at utilizing their two quarterback rotation?
Not surprised, because they're both, good athletes, good, both good throwers, of course, but one, throws it better, and the other guy's a little bigger, stronger to run it with, and, I liken it to some of the things we did with Blake Bell, so not surprised.
A lot of problems that present comparing two different guys.
Well, you just have to know, there's a good number of plays there when Walsh is in, and then there's 11 games to look at it, the certain plays I like when he's in, and we'll practice those, and then the plays, when Rudolph's in, what you're looking at there, so that's.
Bob, you've split the last 4 with OSU, but the last decade or a little plus since Mike's been there, you've won a big number of those. What's been a key? A lot of those have been close games.
I don't. Every game's its own situation. So I don't look back on them all. To be honest with you, there's no one reason why you've won. A good number of games against somebody. It's all this week, and can you play well enough? Can you win the turnover battle? Can you, be great in the run game and those kind of things? You got to go do it every year. So I can't give you a reason why. It's just thinking about this one.
Bob, how pleased are you that the last 3 games of the regular season are at 7 o'clock at night in terms of a national spotlight, when the conference was criticized a lot in October for the fact they went multiple weeks without a primetime game?
Well, it's positive. These have all been great games and exciting games, and against, excellent football teams. So, it is good to be out there in front of the whole country and have a chance for them to watch you play.
Would you at all be in favor of a conference championship game if the league doesn't expand, because there's still discussion about that, seeking a waiver to add a conference championship game?
We'll see how things finish out here in the next couple of weeks.
Seems like it would be inherently unfair to ask the top 2 teams to play each other again after they've already played.
It would be different. The good thing this year, both of us here have a chance to be the champions, and so you know, it's a championship feel to it.
Would you like to see the conference expand to 12?
Yeah, if it's the right two teams, you know, that can bring something to the league and can bring value, then sure.
Now's your chance to stump
Hmm?
for those two teams.
What's that?
Now's your chance to stump for those two teams you want in there.
Yeah, I got a lot more to worry about than that. So.
Will this be a normal work week for Baker? Will you kind of hold him back? I mean, right now you think.
No, if he, you know, we'll go out and do some things today. We'll see what all they want him to do. Everything, like I already been through it. He's checked out. If everything continues to progress this way, he'll practice, you know, like he has every other week.
Bob, it's probably the best example that we've seen of how an offense affects a defense and a defense affects an offense, because you had things rolling. Then he goes down, the offense stalls, and it puts pressure on the defense, et cetera.
It's very true in that how you play together, and we have played together so well, you know, for so many weeks. And then when, you know, the other and the offense starts struggling, you continually go 3 and out or you know, and can't, you know, do anything with the ball to gain field position, just to you know, to freeze them a little bit, to gain, you know, like I said, to get some momentum. It continually stresses, you know, the defense. The more times you're out there, something's bound to happen. And especially, you know, they've got some great receivers with some excellent speed and made a few plays on us. And then all of a sudden you're in a game that you were in control. Now you're in a battle to finish it. So you got to play together as a team, and both sides have to complement one another.
Oklahoma State has wide receivers that compare with anybody in the Big 12. And you faced a lot of good wide receivers. How does that put extra pressure on your defensive secondary this week?
Yeah, it does. They've got great receivers that really go up after the ball, got excellent speed. You know, so there'll be a bunch of deep balls. That's something we'll work on hard this week. And, you know, you got to be able to cover them and go up and challenge them for the ball, which isn't new. You know, that's something that you see, you know, to some degree every week. But with these guys, it's even harder because of the quality of people you're dealing with.
What do you see on film when you look at Ogba?
Great player, talented guy that's got size, quickness, you know, plays with great technique and effort. You know, really good player.
What about the stress that J.W. Walsh puts on a defense in the
Yeah.
fact that he can throw it? And it looked like Baylor did some things different than other people have been doing to shut him down running.
Yeah, you've got to, you know, you've got to deal with the run part of it first. You know, but of course he's a true quarterback. You've got to be in position to, you know, to guard people and to get out in coverage as well. But you know, the fact that the quarterback's running, you gain a blocker, you know, when the running back isn't running it, and so it makes it challenging to be able to squeeze gaps and get to them.
Were you able to take anything from scheme-wise from what
Well,
Baylor
you take
did?
something from everybody, sure. I mean, if it fits you, you know, there's some things you look at, and some of it fits, some of it doesn't. You know, it just depends.
Coach, you talked about communication before the season as far as the secondary with the passing game, but how much is it a sense of the communication in the running game when it comes to fit with the secondary players? Because there's only maybe once or twice where you had a big run gained on you. But how big is that communication in the run game for the secondary as well as the passing game?
Yeah, you don't stop the run without the secondary, and same thing with the passing game. You need everybody, and so it's a critical part. And you know, stopping the run game's always, secondaries always has a hand in it. You know, so more than anything, I think what's been so positive throughout the entire year is the few mental mistakes we have, and even the other night, mental mistakes weren't an issue. We were where we should be when we gave up some plays. He's got beat. You know, there's just a guy in position, and sometimes they're going to outfight you for the ball or outrun you for it, and that happens from time to time. But we've been on the same page to stop the run and or to stop the pass, you know, in a really great way throughout the year.
Bob, seems like it would be a big game for Orlando Brown if it's Ogba, if I'm right, maybe that they're matched up, but he continues to get personal fouls. I know you like him. Can you address him?
Yeah, he just has to have the discipline. Orlando plays hard, has really played well, but overall some of the penalties he's got have really hurt us the last 2 weeks, and hopefully he can play with some more discipline And, and he'll have to have good technique and a great day against their D-line.
How's Austin Seibert kind of handling it, the punting and kicking? I mean, we're late in the season.
Yeah, fairly well. He missed one the other day, but he made a few, and still number one. I think we're leading the league in punting, so he's handled it really pretty well.
His knee on the ground on that one.
Yeah.
Did you go over that with him being a freshman?
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever?
that's something we have to practice more. Practice. I don't want our snapper practicing getting them bad snaps, but we could get someone else to give them some practice getting bad snaps.
What do you do, just shuffle your feet or?
Yeah, you just have to squat instead of put a knee down, You just have to squat down and grab it.
Bob, is TCU, how physical are they compared to the other teams in the league? And do they, playing them, they have the reputation of that. Does it take something out of a team when you play TCU in terms of recovery?
Yeah, when you play a good football team, it takes something out of you. And TCU is a really good football team. Yes, they're physical, as it was the week before with Baylor. Same thing. So, both of them, do that to you. And I like to think we do, and I'm sure Oklahoma State's the same way.
When the Big 12 schedule came out and all the good games, the contender games were lined up at the end, it looked like that was going to be an advantage for the Big 12, but related to what you just said, when you're playing good teams, it takes a lot out of you. Every week now, 3 straight weeks, you guys have those kind of challenges. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a good thing because, so has Oklahoma State and so has TCU and Baylor. Everybody's been basically in pretty much the same situation. So, so again, I feel good in that we've been in a really good, positive rhythm overall. So hopefully, it can continue.
What do you do in practice in preparation for what's expected to be a miserable weather night?
Yeah, we'll see. If we get opportunities to, practice with a wet ball as much as anything, though, they only get so, in today's world, they have such a coating, they don't really get that wet, So we'd have to do some of that, and that's. And or if there's some elements Thursday or Friday, possibly going out in them and practicing. So we'll see as the week goes.
Bob, a couple of years ago, there was a lot of interaction between your players and the crowd in Stillwater. Earlier this year, you had the stuff at Tennessee. I'm curious with the crowd being so close to the sideline in Stillwater, what do you tell your players about?
Yeah, do our best to ignore them. There's a lot of inappropriate things said to us from over the wall and or demonstrated, but we do your best to not have any reaction to it. I know I don't, and or just block it out, and continue to focus on what we're here for, and we do our best for that.
What do they say to you?
Can't go there publicly.
Have you seen this, in your mind, has this rivalry changed since you first got here? OSU's a lot more competitive than they were when you got here in '99. Has that changed the rivalry in your eyes?
Anytime it's obviously, like this year when you're out there with the chance for the Big 12 championship, that's when both of you are in that situation, that changes things. That's fair to say.
Bob, you're not much into ranking, but if you did rank, how would you rank your Bedlams? Is there one or two that stand out more than others?
And gosh, you stumped me there. I'm just not thinking about that, So ask me after this one. Hopefully this will be one of the better ones, but we got to go do it.